let's play this Liz Cheney thing. Look, I'm going to preface this by saying that I think I could come up with reasons why Liz Cheney should be like literally locked up. I am happy to use somebody effectively, and I think she's being used effectively in these January 6th hearings. But I do not think that she is a hero. I think she is a tool that we're using properly. But
a tool that's a Republican, and they're much better at going on the attack in these kinds of settings.
Depressing thing too.
But that's why she's useful for these Jan 6 hearings, because she understands how to attack.
It's true.
Nice.
Absolutely true. But remember, this is somebody who attacked people who were criticizing torture. This is somebody who threw her sister under the bus. Came out against gay marriage because, and despite the fact that her sister was trying, I think, had a relationship at the time, and then apologized later when she realized, like, oh, my aspirations have been met, or society has changed. I mean, I think she's really not a good person. So for the rest of the Republican field in a congressional race to make her look like she's almost human is stunning. Look at this clips assembled. These are the 4 people that she's running against, or 3 people she's running against in the congressional primary in Wyoming. And I think she very smartly, I would imagine that she's behind funding some of them because they're going to split the vote amongst the lunatics. But this is the Republican Party in Wyoming, and writ large, it is the Republican Party, except for Liz Cheney, don't exist in other places.
We're going to go to what we call a lightning round.
January 6th
was a setup from the beginning. We cannot have actual, anyway.
What we saw happen on January 6th was clearly an attempt to delay the count of the electoral votes.
Coronavirus vaccine policy.
They knew Fauci had awards for his work in cytokines.
Mr. Fauci is one of the most corrupt individuals in Washington, D.C.
We are to oppose any vaccines.
Everybody ought to get vaccinated, and we need to do everything we can to protect ourselves from future viruses.
Wyoming residents' faith in the election process.
I understand when I talked to Mike Lindell, he did say that there was a small portion of voter fraud in this state, but that is alarming.
What about Facebook using the system to steer people? We know for a fact all the major internets do that.
The 2000 Mules movie is something that I think we have great concern about.
voting machines that are suspected fraud.
There are politicians in this country, beginning with Donald Trump, who have lied to the American people. He consistently has said that the election was stolen when it wasn't.
Ukraine is corrupt. We started it. We got involved. We pushed them into being against the Russian government.
Money laundering. I think that's the biggest ticket for the Ukrainians and the Biden administration.
It's the front line in the battle for freedom. And I think we've got to elect serious leaders.
All of the internets.
That was... my favorite was Mike Lindell has said there's only a little bit in Wyoming, so I think we're safe.
When I talked to Mike Lindell,
from a one-on-one conversation they had.
When we had our weekly catch-up call.
I also spoke to the guy who did the wearable blanket, and
Snuggie, the
Snuggie, and he said, there was only moderate election fraud.
The Ukraine question is also revealing, because I do think it shows a genuine split on foreign policy in the Republican Party between base and establishment. But it's also like you see them elaborate why they, for instance, wouldn't support money to Ukraine, and it's like corruption and like the old-fashioned
Hunter Biden.
It's not anti-imperialism.
No,
well, absolutely not. And it's not even like, I think the corruption they're talking about, because Ukraine has had a serious problem with a corrupt government. I mean, in terms of like, graft and all of that. In fact, that was, a big push by the Europeans and the Obama administration. But the corruption they're talking about is all Hunter Biden stuff. It's all Hunter Biden. And to be fair, also, like, the front line of freedom, I just find is like, it's not. It is, we're helping people who have been invaded and obviously trying to, undercut Russia's strength. And frankly, there has to be a limiting principle on that as well. But I don't know. I just saw a poll, and I don't know how accurate it is. Something like 80% of Ukrainians have no desire to cede any of their territory. That shouldn't be terribly shocking. I can only imagine. What do you think the polling would be in this country if we were being invaded? Is to like
by Mexico?
I'll let them get Florida.
Well,
yeah, we got to give them back New Mexico and Arizona. What's their position?
I mean, let's be honest, folks. It's New Mexico. These people, they have
pretty good.
Los Angeles. I mean, come on.
Come on. They are culturally aligned.
What is Las Vegas? I mean, that's not English, folks.
Oh,
we've got to give it back. They're more aligned.
Sounds scary.
Yeah, you can imagine Americans doing that. Would you say what would be the polling of American wanting to give up territory, cede territory for peace? Would you put it around like 1% of Americans would suggest that we would do that?
Probably, yeah. It is cool, or not cool, but it is, I don't know why that adjective just came out of my mouth, but it is interesting to see her stand her ground on the election fraud, or the election big lie thing too. I mean, that's her whole brand at this point. But if the party wasn't completely, batshit crazy at this point, that is a good operating principle to not waver and not run from others and let them dictate the terms of your candidacy and the conversation. She is strong in that way, and that might be enough just to carry her through this primary, even though the polling doesn't look that good for her right now, because everybody else is such a mess, and just responding to outside factors as opposed to sticking to their guns.
Well, I don't know that there's much room for her to back off that, but the van that she has is like, there's 4 other people running. I guess there was 4 other people, not 3. And, it's hard to imagine that one of them is going to be like, it's hard for me to tell whether I like the Mike Lindell person or the person who feels that the server's been scrubbed. Those 4 seem like they're going to split the vote. But we'll see.